And I'll carry on again, starting from reciting the verse number 10. We're continuing these most incredible teachings of Togme Zampo, the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. And if you took a break, raise Bodhicitta again to benefit countless suffering sentient beings. Verse 10. The practice of all the Bodhisattvas is to arouse Bodhicitta, so as to bring freedom to all sentient beings, infinite in number. For how can true happiness ever be found while our mothers, who have cared for us throughout the ages, endure such pain? The practice of Bodhicitta, so important. If you're practicing Mahayana, if you're practicing the Great Perfection or the Vajrayana, it has to include the practice of Bodhicitta. If it doesn't, then you're not practicing Vajrayana or the Great Perfection. And the practice of Bodhicitta is beyond all religions. It's really incredible practice. So, first, we establish a foundation of renunciation. And on this foundation, practice Bodhicitta. If we don't have a good foundation of renunciation, it's difficult to truly practice Bodhicitta. And on the foundation of Bodhicitta, we practice the Great Perfection, the Vajrayana. So it's good to see. Check for yourself. You might think, I might think, that we're practicing the Great Perfection. But do we have Bodhicitta? This is the big question. So often we're doing things. I am going to meditate. I'm making offerings. I am going to attain enlightenment. And all the things we do, there's still this I. I is still involved. This I. Ignorance has got this big I in it. Starts with a big I. Because of this big I that's so important, we've experienced all kinds of suffering. We've been to all the realms. We might not remember it, but it's taken us to all the realms, to the hell realms, the ghost realms, the animal realms, the God realms, the demigod realms, and the human realm. Lifetimes and lifetimes. And why? Because we've been pursuing happiness. And haven't really understood the causes of happiness. So we thought happiness comes from cherishing this I, from self-cherishing, from self-grasping. So we've been so preoccupied with this I, pleasing I, the love of I. So it is important to love yourself, but in the right way, with wisdom. As we said, with love and kindness for others is loving yourself. Realizing the truth of cause and effect is loving yourself. Is treating yourself, is having kindness towards yourself. So there's loving kindness, Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the greatest weapon against the self-cherishing, this I. It neutralizes this I. More and more we focus on the benefit of others rather than ourselves. We realize the emptiness of this I. Practice wisdom. We wish for all sentient beings to attain enlightenment. So this is really the heart the spine, the head, the lungs of the Mahayana, the Vajrayana, the great perfection practice. Every time we start the teachings, what do? We pray for the four immeasurables. May all beings have happiness and all the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and all the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the great happiness, devoid of suffering. And may they forever dwell in the great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Love and kindness, compassion, joy and equanimity in this prayer. And we'll talk in quite a little more depth later in the other verses. But really, love and kindness is wishing for everybody to be happy. And of course, to have the causes of happiness. It's no point in just being happy because the happiness will change. We also have to have the causes, plant the seeds for future happiness. Compassion. Compassion, really wishing for others to be free of their suffering. Very important as well, that they're free of the causes. If you don't take away the causes, future suffering is coming. Joy. Rejoicing everything that others have. Really wishing them to have whatever they want. Materially, spiritually. The greatest beauty, the greatest education. The most friends, the most fame, the most fortune, the most luxuries, whatever makes people happy. Wishing them to have their happiness. When people are happy, when they have that joy, when they receive something, that's what they want. For a moment, their mind is at peace. For a while, their mind is at peace. This bodhicitta also is very good to read the teachings of Shantideva, incredible saint as well, a realized practitioner, bodhisattva, the way of the bodhisattva. And as Jigme Limpa says, also a great lineage teacher, after Longchenpa, and he said, there's many kinds of people, but very few really understand what aspiring and applying what bodhicitta is. It's very important that we realize emptiness. Remember, emptiness and love and kindness or compassion are inseparable. If we do this, then this I, the self-grasping, is more and more insignificant, has less influence. When this happens, we can really benefit others. If not, what happens is pride gets in the way, ego gets in the way. So many people say, look at the yogi, all he's doing is he's sitting there. And other people are buying, giving people food, helping them with homes, clothing, education. Surely that's much better. That is very important. Problem is, many people when they help, it's very good that they're helping, it's very beneficial, but ego gets involved. They do their best to help, but sometimes it doesn't work out. They feel disillusioned. Or the other people are not grateful. They're also disillusioned or unhappy. I'll never do this again. I don't think they'll say never do it again, but they feel unhappy. Or pride. I'm helping others. Even more so sometimes is that they feel better than the people that don't have. Be very careful of this. Create pride, and with pride comes future suffering. Remember, if you're not free of samsara, It's just a different time, but it's a different place. A different degree of calm. Might be later that one day it's going to be the other way around. Maybe this life, maybe another life. And the yogi, what's special about the yogi? Just sitting there. The yogi is practicing for the benefit of all sentient beings. And that they may all be free, as we said, of all suffering and all its causes. That they may have happiness and all its causes. So really, there's no greater wish than this. Who wishes this for you? As we say, there's the two people of great merit to you, your parents and your teacher. Your parents, they really do so much for you. Incredible amounts for you. As it says, if you had to carry your parents around your back, around the world, on your back around the world, it wouldn't be enough to repay them. But they still wish for you on a material concern. They worry about you still. You look at your mother. Even when you're my age, and she's like in her 70s, 80s, she's worried about you, your welfare. But she's not wishing. How often are your mothers wishing for you to be enlightened and every other sentient being? This is what your guru is wishing for. This is what the yogi is practicing for. So they really, such incredible love and kindness. Such a great aspiration. So the greatest merit, and you follow the teacher as we said before, because they're free of samsara. If you follow or take refuge in people that aren't free from samsara, how are they going to free you from samsara? How are you going to attain enlightenment by following them? So Bodhisattva, the Bodhicitta, has got two main parts. Absolute and relative Bodhicitta. Absolute is like, or ultimate Bodhicitta, it's like realizing the true nature of mind, realizing Rigpa and abiding in it, staying in it, maintaining it. Like we said about pointing at the moon. It's just the finger that's pointing at it. We can try explain it, but we don't really know it. We only know it by its taste. Somebody can try and explain, this is how this sugar tastes. How Nepali set tastes, Thali set. But unless you taste it yourself, you don't know. You get an idea, but you really don't know. You only know by taste. The same as well, absolute bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta, you're only going to know through your own experience, through your own realization. You get the guidance, but you have to realize it yourself. And this is also related to emptiness. So everything is your own mind and the manifestations of your own mind. This is also to do with aspiring and with relative and then absolute bodhicitta. Continually aspire to attaining non-duality. Go beyond concept, go beyond this discriminating mind. Realize the dreamlike nature of everything, this illusory nature of everything. And this is to do with the sixth paramita, wisdom. And with wisdom, you take out all ignorance. When the light of wisdom, when you make offerings of butter lamps, you pray that the wisdom may shine out to all the dark corners of the world, all the dark corners of ignorance. Because wisdom illuminates that ignorance, that darkness, and it disappears. As soon as you have wisdom, the ignorance is gone. The same as if you go into a dark cave, even if it's been dark for 100,000 years. The moment you put a light in there, it's light. The light of wisdom illuminates the darkness. So with wisdom, once you've got rid of ignorance, you get rid of all of the other afflictions. So same within the realization of wisdom, he also incorporates the realization of all of the other paramitas. So the 6 paramitas: generosity, forbearance or patience, discipline, diligence, meditative concentration, and wisdom. And as Atisha says, and I need to read it, it says, if you have realized emptiness, then you're free of attachment. You're free of attachment, you don't have any grasping. If you don't have a grasping, or you're not holding on to things, then you always have transcendental generosity. So generosity is there. You're free of grasping and attachment, then you have no negative actions. So you always have transcendental discipline. Then you have no concept of I. There's no concept of mine, because you have the realization of emptiness. So you have transcendental patience or forbearance. Your mind is always joyful for the realization of the emptiness. And so you have transcendental discipline. Discipline was before. Diligence. You're free of grasping, of things of being solid. You've realized emptiness. So you have transcendental concentration. And as you don't conceptualize anything as being solid, or in terms of subject, object, and action, you always have transcendental wisdom. So the other paramitas also relate to this relative world. This is the relative world, relative bodhicitta. This is the world that we live in, the world of appearance. It's very important that we try our best to practice this bodhicitta. You mentioned Buddha and the tiger. It's also the story of a king who made the aspiration, the wish, he made the vow that he would practice generosity, and whoever wanted, whatever they wanted, anything, he would give it to them. And and he gave to everybody what they wanted. And eventually one day there was a beggar that came. And the king said, "What can I do? What do you want?" And the beggar said, "I want your eyes." And this was very difficult for the king. He said, "Okay, let me contemplate this, let me think about this." And he thought about it. A few days he was thinking about it. And eventually he said, well, he made this vow. He'll give anybody whatever they want. So he agreed, and he gave the beggar his eyes. But the beggar wasn't satisfied. He said, "I want your wife, the queen." And this really disturbed the king. And he really thought about this really painstakingly. Eventually he came back and he said, "I made this vow that whatever anybody wants, I will give to them." And so he offered his wife to the beggar. His wife was not happy at all. Not because she had to go with the beggar, because she was really worried about the king. He had no eyes. Who was going to look after him? And why are we told this? Is because you really see how this king practiced bodhicitta. How he really aspired and he really did his best to do as according to this vow that he made. It's very, very difficult to realize, isn't it? How many of us would be able to do this? Like you hear stories of coming to kill a bodhisattva, and they kneel before the person and they say, "Just as you are going to take my life now, in my next life, I pray that just as you've taken my life, I'm able to take away all of your afflictions." incredible aspirations. So it's very important that we aspire and we practice. They're aspiring, so we have aspiring bodhicitta and the bodhicitta in action. Aspiring is the 4 boundless qualities, and the practice is the 6 parameters. And we aspire. Aspiring is very important. This is our motivation. We spoke in cause and effect. What determines positive or negative is our aspiration, our wish. Many people say, but this is useless. It's not in action. But it is not useless. It's very, very important, incredibly important. By aspiring again and again and again, more and more, it enters into our mind stream. And the more and more it's in our mind stream, the more and more it's going to be the possibility that it's going to become an action of body or speech. Just think, it's like if somebody really annoys you, and you think about it, and you think about it, and you're upset about it, and you think, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say something. I'm not going to let them get away with this. I'm going to tell them this, and I'm going to tell them that. All of these thoughts are going on in your mind. And you think, oh, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Actually, don't say anything. And then suddenly it slips out and you say it. You try to control it and then la 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 la. Why did it come out? Because it was in your mind all the time. If you didn't have it in your mind, how is it going to come out as speech? The same as well as you driving in the car. You're listening to the radio early in the morning. Or you're not even listening to the radio. You're going, but the music's playing, and suddenly 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you're humming this tune. Where does this tune come from? It's because you heard it in the morning. It entered into your mind stream. So again and again, aspire. At the moment, or in the beginning, that's most of what we can do. We may be not so good at really benefiting others, but we can aspire and aspire and aspire. Eventually it becomes this driving force, this energy that pushes us forward. And we become better and better and more easy to benefit others. Again and again, again and again, whenever you can, just like we pray to our teacher again and again, aspire again and again to benefit others. And then dedicate. Often make dedications. Doesn't always have to be at the end. You can do it in the middle. Whenever you can, dedicate these merits to the benefit of all sentient beings. And you look at these aspirations, these most incredible aspirations. Look at the king of aspiration prayers, or the king of dedications of Samantabhadra. It's a dedication prayer, but it's full of aspirations. And I thought I'd read some of them. If we just go to the king of aspirations, the prayer, and you listen, it says, may my conduct be without measure. May my qualities also be measureless. Why? To benefit sentient beings. Remaining within conduct without measure, may I send out emanations as far as limits of space. May my aspiration prayers extend as far as the limits of their karma and kleshas. Those someone adorns with precious jewels, the infinite realms of the 10 directions, and offers these to the Buddhas, who offers the supreme happiness of gods and men, for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms. So vast, so vast. How many of us think this vastly? That they may all be free from the lower realms, free from negative friends. They will see Amitabha soon. They may acquire all the benefits and be sustained in happiness, and that for all of their lives things will go well. Wow. For the benefit of all sentient beings. The bodhisattvas of the past, bodhisattvas of the present, and of the future. How vast is their mind, their aspirations, their wish for others. And we can follow the example. They were sentient beings like us as well. They transformed through their practice and through the guidance of their spiritual teacher. Look at Rinpoche. Whenever you're around Rinpoche, you feel so good. Feel the warmth, the kindness. Why? Practice of bodhicitta. Rinpoche said he started practicing from the age of 6. And really, wherever you go and he's around, you really see it, you really feel it. So what's our greatest defect? In realizing bodhicitta in our practice, the self-grasping. Due to this inverted perspective, always wishing to benefit ourselves, not really knowing the truth, our ignorance, what really causes happiness. We suffer. Always thinking of ourselves during the day. Even in our dreams, we're thinking of ourselves. And because of this, all these 5 poisons arise. This discrimination arises. Our greed, our anger, our pride, our jealousy arises. And the stronger it becomes, the more and more our suffering becomes. More and more we become unhappy. The more and more our mind is dissatisfied. And this is a big problem. So many of our problems is because of a dissatisfied mind. It creates so many problems. So watch what seeds are we planting? What karmic seeds? As Shantideva said, all the joy of all the worlds, or all the joy that the world contains, has come through wishing for the happiness of others. All the suffering the world contains comes from wishing for the happiness of ourselves, oneself. Childish beings look out for themselves. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas labor for the benefit of others. So if I do not exchange my happiness for others' pain, enlightenment will never come, will never be attained, and even in samsara, joy will fly away from me. So what is bodhicitta? Body means awakening, and citta means mind, the awakening mind. I think we talk today for today. May your minds, your practice of bodhicitta forever be flourishing. We dedicate these merits in the greatest of gratitude. First, to Rinpoche, Achuk Lama, Trulga Arik Rinpoche, all our perfect teachers. Because due to them, we know about bodhicitta and how to practice it. And that by this merit, may all attain omniscience, having defeated the enemies of wrongdoings in the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. May all beings be liberated from the ocean of suffering of samsara.